we're going. So, what should we talk about? Well, I guess we should introduce Omega Zero.
What? You already recording?
Yes, I'm recording.
Oh! This is Late Night CJ, aka Sweet Daddy, in the streets.
And we're recording another podcast because last time Six screwed up with the recording. So, yes, you did. We'll leave it at that. So, what are we gonna talk about?
Okay,
Because you gave
I
me a
had
few.
an idea.
Yeah,
Let me dive on it.
all right.
Now you said your favorite game was what?
What did I say? My favorite game.
Was it Devil May Cry?
I think it was either Devil May Cry 5. I think it was Devil May Cry 5. Yes.
Okay. Now, I know for a fact that when it comes to picking favorites, how most people pick favorites is it has the highest percentage of things that we like in a game. Right?
Well, at least a style of game. For me.
Right. Whatever the style. Remember how we were picking it was like based upon what we like in games.
All right.
And usually a game may have that we like as our favorite may have the highest percentage of what we like in games in that game. Now, with that being said, like say it has 85 or even a 90% approval rating, what could be added to Devil May Cry DMC 5 that would put it ultimately over the level?
Like make it almost go to 100%.
Yes. Like say it's a mid 90. What would that other little 5-7% that would take it there? What is it missing that you would add as the intellectual gamer that you are?
Going with there's a few things that you could add to Devil May Cry 5 that could make the story is a story. I wouldn't change the story at all.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would have added some legacy weapons because technically, in the context of the story, Dante, one of the main characters, he sells all his previous weapons because he's in debt.
Wow.
So
Pawn Shop Dante. Okay.
He sells all his old weapons. The only exception being the sword that his dad gave him.
Sentimental.
Yeah, that he doesn't sell because he needs to. He kind of keeps that around for the sentimental reason that it's his most powerful weapon that he keeps.
Right.
Well, one of the two. So he sells. So maybe you can add maybe DLC or maybe add a way to get back some of his older weapons.
Would that make him OP if he were to get some of his other weapons?
In the context of the story, he's already OP is the thing. Granted, is it rightfully earned? Yes. Because of all the stuff he went through, so by the time Devil May Cry 5 comes around, Dante's already been well established as being a very OP person. He can be stabbed through the chest and be just fine, so.
Jesus.
He's been.
Wolverine ain't got nothing on him.
He's been stabbed through the chest. He's been shot in the face.
Jesus.
So yes, he's.
And I thought I was doing bad when I burnt my hand cooking. I don't think I have nothing on Dante.
I think that's another way to change it up to make. Granted, he already has a bunch of weapons in the game, so it's I guess it gives the characters wider selection, more combo videos. So
the point that I'm trying to make. Because this is an aha moment, right?
Uh-huh.
If you were to add that to the game, would that take away from what you like about the game? Because now it's too much, so to speak. It leaves little left to be desired, as people say.
Personally, for me, it wouldn't be because I play a bunch of RPGs. One of them being. Well, I guess I can split off to this is Etrian Odyssey, where you have the ability to create your own character, and they can be whatever class that they present them as. Do you want them to be the tanky character who protects everyone? Do you want them to be a healer? Do you want to be a damage dealer? Do you want to be all around? And I'll say right now, being all around an entry analysis is actually not a good thing. Being an all around character.
What were you about to say? You gotta get close to the mic. Come here. You gotta get close to the mic.
What do you want,
That
Six?
game, I would probably want to be a tank that could also attack.
Well, that's kind of the point of.
Well, hold on. Go a little deeper. Why would you want to be a tank? Because because you have the ultimate
I
defense, but you'd have the ultimate offense as well.
Well,
I'd have a good offense and really good defense, so it'd be hard to take me down, and I could also deal damage
And
back.
that's my point. Would that be the game little be desired if you got an ultimate defense and an ultimate offense?
that's not how it works in Devil May Cry, because the higher difficulties, the enemies obviously get way more health, and you have less time to defeat them because they eventually get a power boost if you don't defeat them quickly enough.
Okay.
So it just gives you more time to show off how crazily you can mess them up. In a sense, like you go around and
Walrus,
beat them up
Can you
really
shut my
easy.
bedroom door, please?
How easily, like the whole point of Devil May Cry is like to defeat your enemies, but you have to do it in a stylish way.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, you want to disrespect your enemies when you beat them up. So that's kind of the whole point. So the more weapons you got, the more ways you can easily disrespect them, more creative ways to use the weapon, so on and so forth.
The reason why I asked this question, or I brought it up initially, was I was talking with somebody about NBA Jam.
Okay.
Now the original ones, like the first two that they had, matter of fact, none of them have what I'm about to say. The first one that I grew up on
Yeah.
did not have Michael Jordan in the game. It had everybody else of that era: Magic Johnson, Patrick Ewing, Isaiah Thomas, Chris Mullin, Dominique Wilkins. Everybody of that era except Michael Jordan.
How come? Did they ever give a reason?
licensing?
Okay, that makes sense.
And he probably wanted way too much for it because he was through the roof at that time. That was his apex of popularity, so to speak, as a player. Now he's known for shoes, but then it was Air Jordan, the player.
Fair enough.
Now, the thing about it is, if they had added Michael Jordan to it, with the allure that came along with Michael Jordan,
They might have sold way more.
well, not only that, but everybody would want to play with that character. It would be very little to be desired because if you play the game, that's the only. But see, with him out of it, you could play with the Lakers. You could play with the Milwaukee Bucks. You could play with the Atlanta Hawks. You could play with the Knicks or other teams like that and be competitive. Of course, there were top-notch teams anyway, but if you were to put Michael Jordan
On there.
in a character-based game of 2-on-2, everybody would play with him just to win, because he would be the one that could make all the shots and have the craziest dunks.
So we could say that the topic is too much of a good thing bad.
Could be. That's what I said.
Yeah, like-
Now, if that was, say that game for me was 95% approval rating,
All right.
and him being in there was that 5. Yes, it'd be like, oh, that Michael, but it would actually take away from the game
Okay.
having him on there, because you wouldn't play with the Golden State Warriors with Chris Mullin and Tim Hardaway. I know you have no idea who those people are, but
I play basketball. I don't watch
That's what I'm
basketball.
you wouldn't play with those things. You wouldn't play with Clyde Drexler and Terry Porter. You wouldn't play with Terry Cummings and Mitch Kupchak or whoever that was on the Milwaukee Bucks. You wouldn't play with those teams because they'd be like, oh, we can use Michael Jordan.
Fair
And that's why I asked you with Devil May Cry 5, if they were to give him the weapons he sold off and added you said the storyline was fine, but add that to it.
Add a little bit of the extra things I
Would
think
he
about.
be basically God in a game, going through there just having his way, destroying everything, and then it's like, okay, now what do I do?
That's in a way, maybe not, because Virgil is kind of also OP in the game, his brother. So, and like every character I believe is somewhat viable. It's just that personally I'm not good with all of them. I'm like, all right, I know a few basic things. All right, all right, I can do this.
Uh-huh.
Is it annoying to beat certain bosses? Yeah, but I can still do it kind of easily.
Well, let me ask you this: with that being your favorite, and offering up a critique of it, what, based on what it is right now, what would you take out of the game to add to the game?
That's a far more difficult question than mine.
Well, for me, I'll say it real quick to give you some time to think about it. An NBA Jam, being that that's my point on here, is the fouling. Remember how you can push somebody down and they just give up the ball and it's just like, oh, it's like, come on, really? I just learned you just basically learn how to time to push somebody to take the ball from them. Instead of it actually you being a good defender or something like that. It's like, I would definitely alter that portion of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To make the game more competitive and better. So what would you take away from DMC5 in order to make the game better?
I really don't know. I've been thinking about it because, like the story, like I said, is fun. I feel it's fine, even though it's kind of a retread of Devil May Cry 3 with a few added characters.
Right.
I guess I would take probably some of the later levels away and try to redesign them in a sense. Because some of the later levels inside the Qliphoth tree, which is where you're in for some of it, become very samey because it's, how should I explain? It's like one giant area, but for some of it it's red, for other parts of it it's gray. It's pretty much you're in the same area and location, whereas in other Devil May Cry games, when you progress throughout the game, pretty much every single level was unique in some aspect. Even in Devil May Cry 3, where you're in a tower, each visual location was different enough to be like, oh, you're in a tower, but everything doesn't really look like the same. So maybe that's what I would probably do, change some of the later levels and try to adjust that.
Interesting. So you would say that you would add some of the weapons, the weaponry or arsenal that he sold off, but you would take off
some of the levels
that are kind of very similar, where it's like unnecessary.
Maybe not take them out, but maybe like shift them around and reorganize it, or
shuffle the deck.
Maybe I would say more of a redesign. This is all off the top of my head, so
that's where you get the best answers.
Yeah, this is impromptu. I don't. If I had time to write a script, I'd be here all day. But yeah, that's kind of like the way, at least the way I see it.
I just figured we could do a little quick recording. You know what I'm saying? Give people an appetizer for maybe some of the main courses that'll come later on in the day.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, within maybe a week or two, Jack might be done if I do 2 uploads a day. Because, like, if I'm being honest, I'm almost done with the game, and that was like 2 or 3 hours of just me sitting down and talking. Granted, that was also my first time recording on PS4, so it doesn't sound as good.
We'll definitely work out the kinks. We work out the kinks. We got plenty of space that was acquired, so it'll be enough to work out the kinks.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get back to them now. We'll get back to them probably later today, depending on when you upload it. We'll never say the date on there because you don't want to
like it just kind of depends. Maybe I just won't have 6 record for us anymore. or you can't go into a public server. Maybe that's why.
Boom, 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 boom.
Well, this is more of just like a little quick discussion video rather than a podcast. But
that's right.
With that, I'm Omega Zero.
I am Late Night CJ, aka Sweet Daddy in the streets.
And we'll catch you guys later.
And I'm Sona Pop Fancy.
Oh.